Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Podcasts, radio, news.
Single best idea, and this is honor of Joseph Mysak. There are journalists, and then there are real journalists. Many people think I'm a journalist. Well, you know what, folks? There are real journalists, people like the late Mark Pittman, Fred Wiegold at Bloomberg, and one of them clearly in that category is Joe Mysak. It is 40 years plus of grinding work in the bond market. He was iconic at bond buyer. Matt Winkler, a bond guy at heart, the founder of Bloomberg News, called up the bond guy at bond buyer and said, come on over. He's held court at Bloomberg for a long, long time. Joe Mysak retires. He's working on a wonderful, and I should say important project with Tom Wolfe, the late Tom Wolfe, and you'll see something on that in a couple of years here. But Joe Mysak retiring today, and we took a very careful view of New York City. The New York City of 1975 dropped dead. In the New York City now, the governor said no congestion tax is its civil crisis. Let's listen.
You know, this is just a very short-term spasm, if you will, a political spasm. I think that congestion pricing has been sort of the argument for it has been proven. Anyone who goes out in New York City streets and highways now can see that. So I'm not overly concerned. It's funny. People want to think right now that there's an immediate impact on the subway system. But in fact, no. On Thursdays and Fridays, subways are a pleasant ride in.
Yes. Joe Mysak, encyclopedic on all the different things. California going under, Joe Mysak said no. Illinois going under, Joe Mysak said no. I remember Denver Airport, the luggage didn't work or something. Joe Mysak said no, and those are the kind of crises that are out there. Here's Joe Mysak on the state of play in Manhattan.
Oh, absolutely. After the financial crisis, there's so many safeguards put in place for investors, and there's so many, you know, you could have the state and the various oversight boards snap into action.
Yep.
Right now, it's not needed because New York City makes so much money. But I wanted to bring up a phrase, silly as eggs. I only caught that little bit of it, but I think I'm going to adopt it from now on.
Oh, we talked about eggs today. We bring this up. This is important, and I'll digress here off of the great work of Joe Mysak. There is inflation. There is disinflation, which is a lesser inflation. There is deflation, which is price decline. And Gary Schilling, the giant on deflation, would say there are two types of deflation, good and bad deflation. There's a thing that's sort of cosmic and theoretical called reflation, where you reflate an economy. That's what Japan is doing right now. Some say failing, some say maybe succeeding. Daryl Meyer of HSBC was just brilliant on the reflation optimism of Japan. Will they intervene? He thinks Friday. They won't even get to Sunday. And he's pretty constructive on intervention as well. But the idea here of price change, and so we try to bring it down to the real world. And Lisa Matteo has been absolutely brilliant on eggs as just a core commodity. What do they cost from, she's buying like 5-6 dozen, and she's down under $3 a dozen, I think. I mean, it's amazing what she's doing. And then Dana Peterson at Conference Board is looking at $9.99 per dozen eggs. And we get a huge response. Thank you out on YouTube on the live chat for that response on eggs. Even Joe Mysak picked up on it. Having a $40 omelet at the Four Seasons Hotel in Atlanta is our David Gura with our debate coverage tonight. We spoke to Mr. Gura.
They're talking to the same people, and those are sort of working class people. And like Pennsylvania is interesting too, because you've got this huge population of workers still in the steel business, and this is a group of people that Joe Biden claims to come from and wants to embrace. Donald Trump, of course, has appealed to them as well through his tariffs policy. So I think you bring that up for kind of like a random reason, of course, how the pirates are doing, but I think that it's actually a very important state because it's going to be a really fought over battleground state for these two candidates going forward, and we'll see how much these messages resonate. I think it is a state in which there probably aren't as many swing voters as you would have in others.
I think President Biden's got to go to Pennsylvania tonight with his Scranton heritage as well. We'll see what former President Trump does as well. We'll have all our coverage tonight, if you're listening, up to 8 p.m. Joe Matthew, Kaylee Lyons, and Mr. Gura in Atlanta with our debate coverage. Different, twisted analysis than what you're going to see on so many other networks. We're out on YouTube. Search and subscribe to Bloomberg Podcasts. It's easy. You just type it in, and there it is. Click on it. 3 hours. There's a replay of the 3 hours as well. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. I hear big news. Cupertino tells me that there's going to be a whole new Apple CarPlay coming out. I guess you can talk to your dashboard, and you'll be able to get Carol Masser and Tim Stavenovic there as well. From New York City on Apple Podcasts, 6 Minutes of Smart. This is single best idea.